Latin artists who performed at major sports events. When people talk about major sports events, they usually focus on the numbers, the scores, the championships, the records broken. But there's another kind of performance that defines these moments. The kind that lives beyond the final whistle. The music. Because when millions of people are watching, when the world's eyes are locked on one stage, the artist who performs isn't just entertaining. They're representing culture. And over the years, Latin artists have turned major sports events into global celebrations, bringing language, rhythm, history, and identity to some of the biggest stages on earth. These performances weren't just halftime shows or opening ceremonies. They were statements. So let's take a look at Latin artists who performed at major sports events, and how they changed the sound, the look, and the meaning of those moments forever. 1. Gloria Estefan, the pioneer. Before Latin music was considered global, before Spanish-language hits topped international charts, there was Gloria Estefan. Gloria Estefan performed at major sporting events at a time when Latin artists were rarely invited into these spaces. Her presence at large-scale sports celebrations, especially international competitions, was groundbreaking. She brought bilingual music, Latin rhythms, and Miami sound to audiences who weren't used to hearing them. What made Gloria Estefan's performances so important wasn't just the music. It was the message. Latin culture belongs on the world's biggest stages. And once that door opened, it never fully closed again. 2. Ricky Martin, the sound of global pop. If there's one artist who permanently linked Latin music to sports spectacles, it's Ricky Martin. Ricky Martin's performances at major global sporting events, especially international soccer tournaments, were electric. High-energy choreography, anthem-level songs, crowds singing along, regardless of language. Songs like La Copa de la Vida weren't just hits, they were built for stadiums. Ricky Martin didn't just perform at sports events. He became part of their identity. His presence helped redefine what a sports anthem could sound like, and he made Latin pop unavoidable on the global stage. 3. Shakira, the ultimate sports performer. When you think of Latin artists and sports events, Shakira is unavoidable. Her performances at major sporting events, especially global soccer tournaments and the Super Bowl, are some of the most watched musical moments in history. Shakira understands something crucial about sports audiences. They need rhythm. They need movement. They need something primal. Her blend of Latin, Middle Eastern, and pop influences turns massive stadiums into dance floors. Shakira doesn't just sing at sports events. She activates them. And every time she steps onto that stage, she represents not just herself, but an entire region's sound and spirit. 4. Jennifer Lopez, power, precision, and pride. Jennifer Lopez performing at major sports events is about more than entertainment. It's about presence. When J.Lo took the stage at one of the most high-profile sports events in the world, she brought precision, discipline, and unapologetic Latina pride. Her performances combined dance, pop, Latin rhythms, visual storytelling, and she didn't water any of it down. Jennifer Lopez showed that Latin artists don't need to compromise their identity to command global stages. They can dominate them. 5. Marc Anthony, emotion in the arena. Marc Anthony brought something different to major sports events, emotion. When he performed at high-profile sporting ceremonies, especially in Latin America and the US, his voice filled stadiums with passion. Marc Anthony's music doesn't just hype crowds, it connects them. In moments when sports events pause to reflect, honor, or unite, his performances remind audiences of the emotional power of Latin music. It's not just about celebration. It's about heart. 6. Pitbull, stadium energy, Miami style. Pitbull was practically built for sports events. His music is loud. His beats are relentless. His lyrics are designed for crowds shouting in unison. When Pitbull performed at major sports events, including some of the biggest American championships, he brought Miami, Latin pride, and party energy straight into the stadium. Pitbull's presence sent a clear message. Latin music isn't niche. It's mainstream. And it thrives in massive spaces. He turned sports performances into full-on celebrations. 7. Bad Bunny, redefining the rules. Bad Bunny represents a new era. When he appeared at major sports events, whether live performances or crossover moments, he brought something unprecedented. No translations. No compromises. No attempts to tone it down. Bad Bunny performs entirely on his own terms. And the fact that global sports audiences embraced him proves how far Latin music has come. His presence shows that Spanish-language artists no longer need permission to take center stage. They already belong there. 8. Carlos Santana. Music as legacy. Carlos Santana's performances at major sports events are about legacy. His guitar doesn't just entertain, it tells a story. When Santana performed at international sporting celebrations, he brought decades of musical history with him. Latin rock. Spirituality. Cross-cultural collaboration. Santana's presence reminded audiences that Latin artists have shaped global music for generations. Not just trends, but foundations. 9. Juanes. Global connection through soccer. Juanes has long been associated with international sports events, especially soccer. His music, rooted in Colombian rock and Latin pop, resonates deeply with global audiences. When Juanes performs at sports events, there's a sense of unity. Different languages. Different cultures. One shared rhythm. His presence highlights how closely Latin music and global sports, especially football, are intertwined. 10. Karol G. The new generation takes the stage. Karol G represents the new wave of Latin artists stepping into major sports spaces. Her appearances connected modern reggaeton and Latin pop with massive audiences who grew up streaming music globally. Karol G's success at sports-related performances shows that Latin women are no longer exceptions, they're leaders. She brings confidence, visibility,